You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets on Media Network.
All right, you are on The Arms Room. It is a beautiful day. A hot day, I think it's going to be, though. And so I'm Glenn, and today sitting in for John is Matt.
Howdy.
Matt's been here before 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Cool. So Matt's one of the medical instructors for Independence Training. And how was your weekend, Matt? What'd you do?
I had a lot of fun. I went up north. I went to the expo.
Mm-hmm.
Saw some really cool stuff, and then we went out camping. Shot a couple things.
Yeah, you killed some shit.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a good weekend.
A couple jackrabbits. I was looking for coyotes. I used your call and died within about a minute. So I was like, yeah, there's some jackrabbits over there. Let's just get those.
It's funny. Sorry. So
saw that same bobcat I saw last time. Like the city is huge. Same spot.
You smoke him?
No, it's not. It's on someone else's property.
Dude's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Nah. The day's coming though.
All right. How about you, Adam? What do you got going on? Are you driving your hog today, by the way?
No.
I saw a motorcycle out there.
That's
Didn't I?
not me.
It looked like an old man motorcycle, so I didn't want to make fun of it until I knew if it was yours or not.
The gentleman that does own that particular motorcycle is an elderly gentleman. Yes.
Okay.
And no, that's no. That's some Liberace type stuff.
That's what I was wondering, but I saw it. I didn't see your truck, and I thought, man, Adam's using the hog today. That's awesome. So what'd you do this weekend?
I was pretty low key actually. Was just getting a lot of work done. Stuff around the house, stuff with the studio, the network, and stuff like that. So I didn't have my boy this weekend, so it was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, got a lot done. So
that's good.
That was about it. Nothing exciting. It was a very low key weekend for me.
Make something up next time.
You know what? Had a huge party.
There we go.
Stripper poles,
yes.
kegs. It was. I think I had to kick 3 girls out this morning.
And then you woke up.
And then I woke up and realized, how'd the dog get in the house?
Nice.
How was that? Was that better?
That was better.
Okay, all right.
That was a little bit better, yeah. So I had an interesting weekend. We hosted the ShivWorks ECQC class, Extreme Close Quarters Concepts. We had Craig Douglas, head instructor for ShivWorks, on the show maybe a little over a month ago, I think. And it's a great class. People have described it in a lot of different ways, Fight Club with guns or whatever. I'll tell you that it is literally, if you carry a gun and you haven't attended this class, you just don't know what you don't know. You have to, by the end of the class, you're verbally interacting with people, who could be unknown assailants or just unknown bystanders, whatever, totally unknown people, basically, and you're verbally interacting with them, and then, you may physically have to interact with them. You have extra people who come in and just stir things up and make chaos, and some people are armed with simunitions guns, so there's a penalty for failure. You're going to get shot. It almost always goes hands-on at some point in time, and everyone's got different fighting styles, and you learn a lot in the class about grappling and clinching and disarming and things like that, and how to retain your own firearm, and how to stay on your feet and stay mobile and all that. It's an incredible class. It really is. I showed Adam. You got to check this out. What do you think, Doc?
Nice.
Yeah?
Is that simunition or?
No, that's
combat.
That's a dude holding on to my arm when I judo threw him.
Nice.
And he freaking just held on the whole time, and it hurt a lot when he hit the ground because he still had a hold of my arm. So, what do you think? Is that a take and eat, drink water kind of situation?
Yeah. Ibuprofen. 800. Return to light duty profile.
Right.
4 weeks.
That's what I thought. So it was good, man. I got a pretty good bruise across my back. I got a good one down my leg, and there's guys there that bleed, and it's guys who get shot a lot with the simunitions. I have no simunitions hits. I always manage. This is the second year in a row I've managed an ECQC to not get killed and not have my gun taken away from me either. So
third time's a charm.
Third time next year. Yeah, there's a couple guys there though that roll in the class that are. If I ended up fighting with them, I'd probably got killed a lot because they're really, really good at what they do. But it's a great class. We host it every year. Craig's an amazing instructor with a background that no other instructor in the nation right now has. Really, just his incredible background.
I read his bio, I was like, wow.
Yeah, a lot of undercover, work in the law enforcement field. Did some time, doing some pretty serious stuff. And so a lot of his experience, just a lot of guys come from big military backgrounds or SWAT team backgrounds or patrol officer backgrounds or whatever. There's really no other instructor out there that has his experience. And more than just his experience, the ability to translate, first of all, the ability to kind of analyze what happened to him, diagnose where his failures were, figure out how to correct those failures, and then teach other people how to not make the same mistakes. So, it's really more than just the experience, and his teaching ability is really incredible. So, wherever you are in the nation, look up Craig's class. He actually teaches internationally, so he's certainly all over our country. And, look him up. He's got several different classes he teaches. They all have to do with no BS practical application of self-defense and firearms, and it's awesome stuff, really cool stuff. So yeah, that was my weekend. I got beat up for most of the weekend. It was good stuff, and I did my more than my fair share, I think, of ass kicking. So I'm perfectly happy with it. But yeah, there was some.
It's really easy when you do that when you go to the playground and start picking up kids. Right?
I didn't say I was kicking people's asses at the class. I just said during the weekend. You
got really upset. You lost really bad at the class. You went to the local park.
That's right. I went to the local park. You kid! Don't look at me that way.
ECQC.
That's right. I'll take you down. Yeah, guy. What the heck? So anyways, let's get on to the topic of the day. Trying to think if we have any announcements. We do have some announcements, actually. Adam, you were telling me earlier, and I forgot to. We put it on our Facebook page, but I want anyone listening to know also that we have now mobile applications, right? Adam, tell me more.
Yes.
Was that
it? And that is all.
Okay. Because the problem was that people were having a hard time on mobile devices.
Yes, and I think what we'll do is I'll pull those up right now and I'll post those on the Arms Room.
Cool.
But we do have mobile apps for iPhone and Android, as well as here in a couple weeks we'll also be on another platform. The Arms Room will be on TuneIn Radio as well.
Cool. Awesome. So if you had a hard time in the past listening on your mobile device, those days are gone. And Adam's going to post up the links for you. I know I posted them up maybe a week or two ago, but Adam will post them up again. All right, so on to other things. I got to tell you a couple stories, Matt.
All right,
here you go. Settle in. All right, so today we're going to talk about medical training and why people need it, and why people probably need more than they currently have. A lot of people out there have basic level skills, even like wilderness first responder skills. And I'll maybe get into more of that later, but I'm not a huge fan of those kind of certifications and people being like, I'm Wolfer certified, and then they get into an emergency and they're like, what the hell am I supposed to do? You're like, relax, let me show you. So here's what happened. So I play softball, men's slow pitch softball. That's right, I'm an old man, so that's what I do. And so we're playing softball last week. I played left field, had two guys over there playing our right center and our right fielder, and long, deep line drive gets hit over right center's head. He's running for the ball. He calls it, hey, I got it. Right fielder runs over, thinks he's got a better chance at the ball, ignores the main outfielder rule of never try to go for the ball when the other guy's called it. Anyways, they collide pretty hard. From left field, it seriously sounded like two bowling balls getting smacked together. Instantly, the one guy staggers back on his feet, the taller of the guys. The other guy, who's driven his head up into the tall guy's chin, just grabs his head, moan, groan, fall to the ground kind of thing. So I run over there, slide in next to him, do a quick assessment of the first guy, make sure that he's okay, quickly kind of stabilize and make sure there's no major head traumas, anything like that. broken bones, ask him, person, place, time, and event, things like that. Once I realize he's okay, I check the second guy. I've still got kind of my hands on the first guy. Check the second guy, have him lift up his chin. Underneath his chin, between, kind of like the crease of his throat and his jaw, that nice little soft spot, he has a 3-inch wide, 1-inch deep gash. I mean, literally see through all the way down in that subcutaneous tissue. I'll show you some pictures afterwards. Gnarly stuff. So I just tell him, all right, grab your chin, pull it back to your throat, put lots of pressure on it, sit back on your butt, get your knees up, lean forward, kind of tripod action.
Bleeding a good amount?
He was bleeding pretty good. Yeah, he was bleeding pretty good, but nothing that I was concerned about, no arterial or anything like that. Go back to the second guy, or the first guy. Right about then, a fireman who had been playing on the team opposing us runs up. Hey, man, I'm a fireman. I'm like, sweet, dude. You probably have more training than I do. Hop in here and see what you can do, man. So he jumps in. He puts, guy number one, hey, I'm going to put him in C-spine. Cool, go ahead and do that. And, and we kind of handled the situation from there. Some guys brought up some bandages and things like that, that they scrounged out of some first aid kit. And we did what we could to just kind of stop minor bleeding. There was nothing catastrophic. So there was no life-threatening wounds, all right? Both teams at this point are in the outfield. So we have, almost 30 guys, umpires, some softball league officials. There's probably 30 people standing out in the field with us, and there's 2 of us. Well, I'll take that back. There's 3 of us because there's another guy from the other team who was being helpful as well. But it's like there's 3 guys out of 30 people who have any idea what to do. Finally, ambulance and fire rolls in. They finish bandage him up. They take some vitals. Everything's okay, and they decline treatment, transport, anything like that. Fire hangs around for a little bit longer, takes the vitals. Everything's fine. These guys go get stitches from a friend of ours, and done and done. No life-threatening wounds or anything like that. But the point is, out of 30-something people, there were really only 3 who honestly had a grip on the situation and were kind of able to do anything.
Right.
So next story, all right? So John and I, John normally here on the arms room, was also at ECQC with me, and we're driving home Friday night after Friday night's class session, and this truck comes speeding by us. We're out in Chino Valley, Arizona. This truck comes flying by us. We're doing about 45, in like a 45 zone. This guy comes by, he's got to be doing 70 plus, and there's a roundabout, one of those crazy roundabouts they're putting everywhere. He totally misses that. He airbornes over the median.
By the bank?
By the bank? No.
Oh.
No. So he airbornes over these 2 medians, right? And there's this brand new, Chino Valley just put in this brand new big beautiful wall in this roundabout with these 3 horses. You seen that one? It's the one with the 3 horses.
Yeah.
Okay. So he slams into that wall. He airbornes over these medians, boom, into the wall, rolls over a couple times, and so we're pretty close behind him. You know what I'm talking about? The spot I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
So, in fact, if you look in, I think one of the Prescott newspapers, it was on the cover page of it or whatever. Anyways, so we're the first ones, man. We pull over, call 911, and this is kind of like one of the first steps, I think, of medical training is what the hell do you say to 911, and how do you not get trapped into talking to them, give them the pertinent information. It's like, here's what I said to 911. Pick them up, 911 dispatch, whatever. I said, look, there's been a single car rollover on the number of occupants, roundabout headed south out of Chino Valley, and then she wanted some more information, and I'm like, I got to treat people. That's all I can tell you. Hung up the phone, put it back in my pocket, figure other people are probably calling the 911 too, plus I gave her all the information she really needed,
What happened and where to find it.
Exactly. So, as we move up on the vehicle, first thing, of course, is some scene assessment. I grab my kit out of my bag. John grabs his kit out of his car. He was driving. So now we both got our kits. We're moving over. I see the driver is crawling out of the vehicle. So I figure, hey, he's mobile. He's breathing. He's not my concern. I want to see who else is in the vehicle. So I tell John to handle that. I run around the passenger side, and there's a guy halfway in, halfway out, truck rolled almost over on him. I mean, if the truck would have rolled another 3 or 4 feet, it probably would have cut this dude in half. He's totally pinned. They were both seat belted in, which totally saved their life. So the one guy's kind of got the strangle thing going on with the seat belt. So anyways, I assess him. I end up cutting the strap, stabilizing him, cutting the strap, checking for any wounds. About, I'd say 4 minutes in, cop shows up. He rolls in, we have a small chit chat. He's like, dude, if you know what you're doing, I'm just going to leave you to it. He goes to check on the driver. I finish up with the passenger. I get a lot of pertinent information. We're talking, person, place, time, and event. Where's he coming from? How's things going? Keep a conversation and a dialogue going. He starts going into shock, so I got to treat some of that. He was asleep when it happened, so of course, what a shitty awakening, right?
Yeah.
So we handle all that. Probably about 12 minutes for fire to show up. Once fire was on scene, from the time that fire rolled in until the time that a fireman, I would say, relieved me from keeping this guy, in check, was probably another 3 to 4 minutes. I mean, it's probably 3 minutes from the time that they pulled up to the time the fireman said, "Hey, I got this," and then ambulance was there maybe 3 or 4 minutes after that. So it's a pretty long time considering we weren't very far out of town.
Right.
So there was a couple people who had stopped, when we had stopped. And man, as soon as John and I ran up there and we started handling things, it was just those people just evaporated. I mean, they had no idea what the hell to do.
Right.
And so again, it was just a situation. I didn't treat any life threats. There was nothing really I did to save anybody's life or anything like that. It was just somebody had a capability to actually do something, anything, and know what to do, know how to get the right help there, know the right information to get, so I could pass that information on law enforcement. I could pass that information on to, the firemen and everything when they showed up there. So it's not, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or anything. It just happened to be that in the last week I had these 2 crazy things happen to me. So your analysis, Matt, what do you think? A, how did we do, right? Or how did I do as far as that's concerned? And B, why do people find it so difficult to want to get medical training?
Well, the first one, you guys sound like you did fine because nobody died.
It's always a good watermark, right?
If you come up to them alive and they leave your care alive, then you did a great job. Now, if they died like 30 seconds after you hand them off, then you might want to evaluate some things. But
Right.
No, I mean, you guys sound like you did fine. The big concern with the vehicle accidents is people get tunnel vision and they're in the middle of the road.
Right.
And you can look up all the videos on YouTube with dash cams from cops, and they're working on a truck, and all of a sudden, like, one guy looks up and just takes off running, and then the other guy runs, and then you see a car flipping through the camera's view right into the accident scene. That's my big thing with accidents is like
gotta have scene safety.
Just the biggest thing you should, if the vehicle's drivable, get it off the road, get it out of the intersection, get it further down the road from that blind curve.
Throw some flares, signals, something.
Someone else that's texting and cruising, and yeah, some people can do it. They see the lights, they see whatever, but this car just got in a wreck. It doesn't have lights on it. Right. They're not going to see it until they're right up on it. Just getting them as out of the road, out of danger, whatever. But it sounds like that wasn't really concerned.
Luckily, they were still kind of inside the center of that roundabout when they rolled over, so we were pretty secure.
You guys sound like you did great. I think a lot of people don't get medical training because there's this thing like, oh, if I buy this first aid kit from Walmart, it'll be good, or oh, I can buy this get home bag or this bug out bag. It's pre-made, it has everything in it I need. Like it has alcohol wipes and some Band-Aids. Like what? Well, it doesn't have tourniquets. It doesn't. I think a lot of people they don't realize the full scope of what they might need, what they might encounter. I honestly don't know why more people don't get medical training. I think it's maybe because they don't know where to look and they don't know what's relevant to their needs. And for CPR, that'll do it. Well,
right.
You can't CPR someone back from blood loss. You can't CPR someone back from, when they need C-spine. You say, okay, CPR, and you took a first aid class. Like, what do you bring to the table? What skills from that can you apply when you're out in the woods? You hiker breaks his leg, or
someone actually gets shot.
Car wreck on a back dirt road.
So I know you mentioned you went up to the Arizona Survivalist and Prepper Expo. I know you were up there. We had a couple of our instructors there. I know you stopped by and hung out with them and all that good stuff. I know you had to have seen some of the medical kits that are out there.
Yes.
Tell me about, and a lot of people buy those as feel-good purchases. They roll into an expo like that. They're like, oh, a medical kit? Oh, it's in a cute red bag? Oh, I should definitely get this. And then they buy it, and they put it in their little feel-good kit. They put it in their little house or their car or whatever, and they feel good about themselves. Tell me, what do you see in a lot of these kits?
It's just fluff, feel-good stuff. Tylenol aspirin, some alcohol wipes,
So it's in a tactical bag, but it's still...
It's on some cool high-speed bag, but, there's no tourniquets, there's no chest tubes. Not that they need chest tubes, but there's no, there's no, if Glenn gets shot right now, what in that first aid kit can I help? Can I use? Like, alcohol wipes, maybe a little baby suture kit, some burn cream.
Right.
You know what? There's no combat gauze. There's no massive hemostatic. There's no massive blood control stuff. There's no, there's no chest seals. There's no tourniquets. What are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do with this kit? You could throw it in a mass shooting, and you're not gonna do anything with it except maybe clean up a wound after it's already been fixed by someone that knows how to make a tourniquet.
So next week we're gonna be talking. Next week we're gonna be talking more about kits. We're gonna be talking about like specifically contents and things like that. And I want to touch on this a lot. And I know you're gonna be here next week as well. And so next week we're gonna touch a lot more on kits and contents and what people should put in them. We got to go on break, and when we come back, I want to talk more about what are some of the realistic things from kind of my backcountry kind of experience and your, we'll call it backcountry experience.
There's out in the sticks.
As a dolphin shaver and polisher.
Yes.
We will talk more about what are the realistic scenarios that people need to honestly be prepared for, and why should they get training. So we're going to go on break. You are listening to the Arms Room.
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. If you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strongly about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Are you or someone you know suffering from eczema, diabetes, or vitamin deficiencies? Then I can share with you something to help remedy that with health and wellness. It can be a business plan too, which is a great opportunity to meet and interact with all types of people who care about changing lives. So when you are ready to make a difference, call Jamie at 602-295-9969. That's 602-295-9969.
Hey everyone, it's Adam from Vets On. Are you or someone you know looking for employment? Then look no further than iVetX. iVetX is placing veterans with the right hiring companies. Join their mission in putting veterans in inspiring careers with ensured success. Access their national pipeline of military talent for companies. All veterans are pre-screened for 55 soft skill sets, 800 clarification types, education, experience, salary range, and so much more. iVetX can help you find the perfect job to veteran match. Your skills are based on what's needed for success in that job. If you're a hiring company or a veteran looking for your next career, then get started today and go to www.ivetx.com. iVetX, bridging the employer-veteran gap by putting American veterans to work today.
You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets On Media Network.
All right, you're back on The Arms Room. Adam is part of my family now.
Come on, dude.
All right. I'm going to start charging you rent. All right. So, all right. So we're talking about medical training. That's what we're talking about. And what are likely wounds that people are going to see? Okay, go ahead.
You forgot to mention that today's sponsors. We just got word that today's program, the Arms Room, is brought to you in part by Chipotle Chili's and Sonic.
Yes. Yes. Hell yes. Where you should open carry your firearm. They encourage it.
Grow that neck beard out and roll it with it.
Yeah, that's right.
Right on that chest.
That's right. Get that SKS.
Throw your fedora on too.
Put a bunch of Tapco on that SKS. Call up Tapco. Get everything they've got.
Drop legs everywhere.
Drop leg, thigh rig / knee rig.
Dump pouch.
Dump pouch.
Ankle dump pouch.
Roll into Chili's, Chipotle. Show your Second Amendment rights.
They love it. Free burrito.
Free burritos. Go into Chipotle, ask for the free burrito for open carry advocates.
You got to wrap yourself in foil though.
No, just a tinfoil hat.
That's a Halloween thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right. So medical training. Back to that. Let's talk about some realistic scenarios that people can find themselves in. A lot of times when people think, okay, so they ladder medical training, so to speak. They're like, okay, well, I got CPR first aid training because my job made me do it or whatever. So I have this cute little certificate that in the end doesn't really mean anything. All right. Now I would always recommend people get that. Always recommend people get that. Because A, it's a CYA situation. B, it lets you know what everybody else knows. So now if I roll into a situation, let's say I was at a vehicle accident several years ago. Do a lot of driving, so I see a lot of vehicle accidents. Saw this one vehicle accident I felt like I should get involved in. Ran over there, got there about the same time as another guy. I started addressing the first casualty. This guy was super excited, wanted to help, and I said, "Hey man, I would love for you to help me. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience and training?" "Oh, dude, I'm first aid certified." And I'm like, "Cool. Now I know what he knows and how he can help me." Right? So now I'm like, cool, now I know what you know, here's what I need you to do, right? As opposed to, if nobody has any, it's like, well, I learned it in the Boy Scouts, or it's, I watched a video on YouTube or whatever. Now you don't really know what information they're pulling off of. So now you've got someone on kind of a baseline. I think everyone should go out and get that. Regardless of whether you actually get the certification, that doesn't really matter. Some people need it for work, great. But now you kind of understand what everyone out there knows. But beyond that, people never really go there because they think of trauma training and think like, oh, well, it's a gunshot wound, it's a combat medic, whatever. I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. But
it's
they do.
Broad spectrum. It's it's applicable to all sorts of stuff.
So give me some examples of realistic scenarios that the average person would find them in where they would need something beyond basic first aid training.
I've helped at a couple car accidents. I helped it like about a week and a half ago. I was going home from the bouncing gig. And my normal route was closed, so I took the 202, and I get past like Country Club. There's this little old man just standing in the middle of the road, like right in the gore point, no car around, pitch black. I pull over. Long story short, he's wandering in the road. There's cars swerving to avoid him. I was like, oh god, this guy's gonna get killed. So I get him out of the road. And most people are like, oh, he's on drugs. He's that crazy drunk little homeless man. No, the guy was hypoglycemic. He was trying to get back to his hotel to get his insulin, but he's so out of it he didn't know where the hell he was. Even that, just going to these medical courses, you can learn like, okay, what might make someone disoriented and incoherent? Like drugs, alcohol, sure, but some random person rolled by him, saw what was happening, and be like, I'm not helping that crazy drunk homeless dude. He wasn't a crazy drunk homeless dude. He was a little old man who needed his insulin, who was wandering around the 202 at 1 in the morning. Yeah, that's a one-off situation, but car wrecks, I've seen a couple really gnarly ones. There's one when I lived in Tennessee that was just nuts. I'm coming back from my buddy's house, and it's pouring rain, and I get off 101 Parkway, going out towards Woodlawn. Come back down left, go under that kind of underpass, and this white pickup truck comes flying around the corner, and a cop's in pursuit and just spins right out and nails right into a barrier. Like, what are you going to do? There was 15 people that got out and just stood there and watched. What are you going to bring to the table besides just being a target in the road for someone else to run over.
Mhm.
I mean, even there's little burns. You know, my nieces get stung by a bee, or they touch something hot. Just it's so broad spectrum. You got gunshots if you go out in backwoods a lot, hikes, hiking, breaking ankles, rolling ankles. I mean, there's just honestly so many possibilities. There's no one thing that happens all the time, and we might go grab lunch after this, and some guy rolls through and shoots the place up. Like there's no way to really know what's going to happen.
Well, I think
you just got to train for everything.
I think a lot of people focus on different types of training. Like I know with us, of course, firearms training is
Right.
huge. People love to come out and have a weekend or a few days or whatever of learning how to take care of themselves, or having some people look at it as an experience, a kind of adventure. Some people want to come out there honestly trying to improve a skill, or we're training law enforcement or mill guys or whatever because they're they use a little bit more often. But here's the reality of things: as civilians now, as just regular guys, times I shot someone last week, 0. But I already told stories about twice where I was able to pull out my medical training.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's where most people don't consider it, is you're either going to be the guy standing around being a liability. And I think that's really the biggest thing. When I respond to that vehicle accident, for example, I wasn't this huge lifesaver there, but I was an asset to the situation, to that law enforcement officer. So when he rolled in, knowing what the local PD has, they don't have a lot of medical training, he's looking at it going, oh man, how am I going to handle this? I'll just wait for fire and EMS like most of them do.
Right.
Then he sees me work and we have a little quick chat and he's like, go to work, dude, you know what you're doing.
Right.
And it frees him up to go do his thing.
Right.
So, when fire shows up, I'm able to give them good, legitimate information about what happened, how it happened, what information
Right.
I've obtained. They're all obviously going to do their own assessment, but they're able to get information from me.
So you got a pretty good start on the. Okay.
It's just about being an asset. I was
Right.
able to tell them what treatment I had done so far, and then it's like then you back
Right.
off and you let the professionals go to work. But the point is, when things like that happen, whether it's something simple like even if your niece gets a bee sting, right? Or you come upon a vehicle accident, or you're out backpacking and you trip and fall and impale yourself with a stick or something, or your buddy does. Are you going to be an asset to that situation, or are you going to be a liability? Just going to be someone
Right.
who's just going to get in the way, stand around?
There's a great article on OAFnation.com that they wrote about assets and liabilities.
Mhm.
I highly suggest. I'll send the article to you. I'll dig it up, but it's really good. And it talks about that kind of stuff, and it's this real broad spectrum, but you can apply it to anything in life. Are you an asset? Do you bring skills and experience and a level head to the situation? Training, or are you a liability? Or are you just gonna freak out when you need to do something?
We have a question that's come in.
Okay.
First off, great discussion. What about civilians, or how can civilians train for and respond to a scenario like Elliot Rogers?
Crazy Pants over in Santa Barbara, right?
Sure, yeah.
That's Elliot Rogers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mhm.
I get all these crazy shooters mixed up. How can someone respond to something like that? Let me see. Let me see if I can refresh that. Guy stabs his
He stabs three
Stabs
three roommates.
two roommates and a sorority girl or something, right?
Yeah, they found 3 bodies at his
Either way,
apartment,
he stabs like 3 people.
and then I guess he got in his car, mowed some people down, and then opened fire.
Yeah.
With these kind of situations, it's the biggest thing is we now know all the facts.
Sure.
It's easy to hindsight 2020, Monday morning quarterback this kind of situation, but if you're there and you see a car hit somebody, you're not necessarily pulling your gun. You see him mow people down, you might not pull your gun. Then he starts shooting. It's a very subjective thing. What are you comfortable doing?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily. I don't know if the question is specific to how would you
Right.
how would you shoot, move, communicate on this guy. But
with that, it's that's like your basic military medic 101 stuff. Like you don't start treating people till everything's safe. Until the threat's gone. If this is a 2-block, quarter of a mile, he started on one end of mill and ended up at the other. If it's safe to treat, you basically prioritize, immediate life threats, people massively hemorrhaging, people, shot in the chest, someone that got their foot ran over, probably not a concern. But you go to like an IFAC course, or some of the stuff we teach will teach you how to and patient classification, what's called triage, which is a big thing. But
it goes a lot into kind of some of the basic first aid skills of scene assessment,
right,
which of course is always got to make sure the scene is safe. As you said, with TCCC and in the military, it's always stop getting shot before trying to treat gunshots. So it's make sure the scene is safe, and then after that, how does someone start treating on that? Look, here's the thing: you can carry with you. I do. In my pocket right now, in our EDC video, a month or so ago, John and I emptied our pockets. I carry a small trauma kit. It's very small. You can carry it in just about a back pocket, a cargo pocket, purse bag, briefcase, whatever you want, glove box, something that small, easy for me to carry, and I can use everything in there to treat a gunshot wound, a puncture wound, a catastrophic hemorrhage, whatever. Adam?
And we're talking civilians. I'm talking about people.
Yeah.
This particular question is
sure.
People that have no experience.
Oh, no.
Military,
so you're saying someone who has no training,
right? No training.
Get some training.
Yeah.
Get
So
training.
what? Like, if you have somebody, this particular person here, female, wants to know how can they train and respond to a scenario like that if they've never been faced with anything like that or have no experience in training prior to.
Well, a lot of people talk about mindset. You hear that word float around a lot, like if you have the proper mindset, you'll be able to respond to emergencies. And that sounds pretty. Unfortunately, until training boosts confidence, and confidence builds good mindset. Mm-hmm. So you really have to get good training. Can Matt and I on the air right now tell someone how to handle a gunshot wound? Sure. Yeah, we can tell you how to do that. Are you going to get it? No, probably not. No, you're probably not going to get it until we show you, teach you how to do it, things like that.
Right.
So, obviously, if you're in Arizona or a surrounding state, you really need to look up independence training, and you need to see the kind of medical courses that we offer. It's a major part of what we do. We teach some very large corporations, government agencies, big groups of people that all their trauma medicine. I mean, there's a lot of people in this in this state that we teach medicine to, and it's all very practical based. Regardless of military experience or whatever, we teach everything from a very practical standpoint. If you're not near us, then you need to find someone locally, and there are a couple around the country that are really good instructors. You just make sure, like with any other kind of training, that you're going to vet the person that's teaching the information, that they really have a good handle on the content and how this is applied and why it's applied that way, that the stuff they're teaching you is modern. There's a lot of outdated information out there that's being taught.
There's so many things that evolve. I got out like 2 years ago almost, and there's so much that's evolved since, that I stay on the radar with it. Another thing with these courses is people talk. The people that go to these kind of courses are on most of the gun forums, outdoor forums, whatever. Let's say you're not in Arizona. I'm sure Glenn can provide a reference for somebody near you that can teach you right.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, let's say you find one yourself. Look at reviews, look at testimonials of people that are not on their website, because obviously they're going to post great ones on their website,
yeah.
But look at some of the forums where people talk about these courses, and you'll see a lot of good feedback. You might see some not good feedback about, and a lot of that feedback is going to come from people who've gone to other courses and are able to compare and be like, okay,
they have a point of reference, right? So I think to maybe answer this question, let's put it this way, and this is why you need medical training. All right, I am not any kind of badass combat medic or anything like that. I've got a lot of different training, wilderness first responder, wilderness first aid, and all the other silly certifications that Matt and I were kind of making fun of earlier. I've got all the certifications, right? As far as that, I teach some of our lower level medical classes because I understand the concepts. CLA. I've applied a lot of this in the real world. I have a lot of backcountry and experience doing things like that. So I'm going to tell you how a regular guy, and then I'll let Matt chime in, how a regular guy, myself, father, husband, regular dude, how I would handle it. First of all, got to make sure the scene is safe. Get the threat gone in whatever way that threat needs to be gone by. All right, whatever you're comfortable doing or allowing to happen, make it happen. Once you come upon a scene where there's just all kinds of craziness going on, you got to triage. You got to figure out who is dying the fastest. or you got to figure out who can I help the quickest that may be able to lend me aid. So it's kind of a two-edged sword. Like, this guy's got a busted foot. Can I freaking give him a little pep talk and get him helpful to me, to go get me some stuff or something? I don't care if he's got a limp over there. Then I got to figure out who's dying the fastest. How do I recognize that? That's kind of where the training comes in. I got to be able to recognize who's dying from catastrophic hemorrhage, bleeding to death, who's got, a compromised airway, who's not breathing. I kind of tend to triage, and this is a habit I have just because of the lifestyle. I always triage kind of kids first. That's a big thing for me. I'm a father. I'm very sensitive to children. So for me, I always kind of triage kids first in these situations I've ever been in. And then you handle it from there. You either improvise if you don't have the equipment, or hopefully you have some kind of equipment and you can utilize it. And then you stabilize everybody as best as you can until a higher level of medical care gets there, or you can get them to a higher level of medical.
You can do a lot of stuff with just what you're wearing. If you have a belt, you have shoelaces, you have a shirt, you can rip. You can do so much stuff with that. I mean, I read about one guy. I need to dig up the story. He used something in his wallet to make an occlusive dressing on someone.
Yeah, dude, you can actually use a card. I was trained that way a long time ago. It's like a credit card or something.
Yeah, like a thinner.
Yeah, ID card. That's what it was.
Yeah,
like an ID card.
License, throw some duct tape over that thing. It's about learning the concepts, and then, okay, so you get shot in the chest, you need something inclusive. Okay, well, you don't necessarily need to carry a 16 hyphen chest seals with you. It'd be cool if you did. But just knowing the concepts of, okay, this is what I need to do for this. Oh, boom, there's a plastic bag and a trash can right there. Hey, go get some tape out of that store that car just crashed through. Now you got an occlusive dressing. Oh, this guy's bleeding. I don't have a tourniquet, but I know I have to stop the bleeding. Okay, I'm going to drop my knee in his femoral artery. Here's a belt. Hey, get me that little metal pole over there. Get me whatever.
Right.
You're learning the concepts. You're able to improvise with it, and then the more training you do, the more confident you'll get, and you'll be able to stay calm in this kind of situations. You might, like you said about mindset. Like, okay, you might have a great mindset, but if you don't know how to crike someone, you need to crike someone. You're not going to crike someone with the coolest mindset on the planet.
Right.
So it's a bit of both. Training builds confidence, like you said, but just learning the training concepts and learning the ideas behind the order you treat in, how you treat, it can go a long way, even if you don't have any medical supplies on you.
All right, so we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about this, and we got a couple more things we want to hit.
We do have another question.
And we do have another question. So when we come back from the break, we will definitely answer that question. You are listening to The Arms Room.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Would your goal be to get you and your family out of debt? I can show you how thousands of people and families are doing just that. This is a business plan made simple. We offer everything from weight loss products to green cleaning solutions. Whether you're interested in making it a full-time or part-time opportunity to become debt-free, or if you are just sick and tired of being sick and tired, call Jamie at 602-295-9969. That's 602-295-9969.
Breaker, one man. How about that bandit? You got some ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. If you have any questions, No sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Do you need an extra push to start your day? Well, then tune in to Addie's Radio. Addie's Radio is a show that explores tough questions in an open and fun forum. The program also engages hard-hitting issues concerning veterans' physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. The show airs every Tuesday from 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Vets On Media Network. Addie's Radio is hosted by Jesse James, a combat veteran of Afghanistan, so he knows the problems that veterans face every day. Jesse provides you guidance each and every week to be a better you. So tune into yourself each week by tuning into Addie's Radio. Go to vetsonmedia.com for show details.
You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets On Media Network.
All right, you're back on the Arms Room, and Adam, we've got another question.
We got a question, yeah. Teenagers. Some teenagers are constantly worrying about what to do if a school shooting happens. Now, obviously, every time that there is a shooting, people like to talk about gun control. So
Sure.
The question is, what is your guys' take on that?
Well, I think, first of all, if you look historically at all these events, a lot of times, and especially the older events, like I remember when I was in school, it was the Columbine thing. That was a thing. You know, it took a long time for any of those kids who were wounded in there to get any help, and a lot of them died of their, succumbed to their wounds because they weren't able to get any treatment. And luckily we're in a different environment now with law enforcement where they're a lot more trained, willing, and able to kick in doors and do some two-man entry instead of waiting for the SWAT team and stuff like that. So we're in a little bit of a different world these days with training, but you're still looking at the fact that even when cops do make entry on a situation like that, they're still stepping over wounded people to make sure that any threat is isolated. Is what we talked about earlier. They have to make sure the threat is isolated. So that's a big deal. So that's kind of the thing you have to understand. First of all, if you find yourself in a situation like that, just because the cops are there doesn't mean that all is well and good. And not every law enforcement agency trains on life-saving techniques. Some do, some don't. So first of all, you've got to look at the situation of how many people in all these shootings and all these crazy natural disasters, whatever, how many of them could have been saved if people had good training? And if the answer is 1, then the training is always worth it. If they would have saved 1 person, look at here in Arizona, we had the Gabby Giffords shooting. Gabrielle Giffords got
Right.
shot by crazy Jared Lochner dude. Ends up getting taken down by some civilians. Pretty cool. They tackle him to the ground. Very, very cool story. When Pima County Sheriff showed up, they had just received IFAC training, individual first aid kit training, with some really basic materials. They saved at least 3 people's lives. There was another law enforcement agency that showed up with them who had not received the training, and they basically sat on their hands. So these officers were able to save 3 lives. Was that worth the agency putting the time and money into training their guys and buying those kits? I bet those 3 people would say yes. Yeah. And so that's the point. When you show up in these kind of situations, the training is always going to be worth it. So with kids who are interested, or not, excuse me, not interested, but scared of this kind of stuff, run, hide, fight is kind of the first concept. Get out, hide if you can't get out, and if you can't get out and you can't hide, then you need to fight for your life because violence is being presented to you. So you damn well better be ready to put freaking
the numbers on your side. You got 30 kids in a class. Yeah. One guy's going to walk in. I hate the Monday morning in these situations, but
sure,
one guy walks in a room with 30 people. Mm-hmm. He might get some people and they all 30 charge him, but he's going to lose that fight.
But these aren't, we don't see these people doing these crimes. They're not combat vets. They're not hardcore, tactical guys. Yeah, they're not they're just some dickhead with a freaking gun. You know what I mean? If you present some force to him, look what happened up in Oregon. One guy drew a gun on the Oregon shooter in that mall, And that guy, as soon as he quickly could get out of that situation, he didn't shoot anybody else. He ran around that corner and popped himself in the head. That's the end game for these guys anyways. The end game is to wreak as much havoc as possible before they kill themselves.
There's one like that in Utah as well.
Yeah, so throw down some violence their way, and if they don't end it, you will. I mean, you've put a freaking folding chair across the back of one of these guys' heads or whatever. You'd have 4 varsity football players or 4 of the skinniest nerds in the whole school tackling this guy.
There's a fire extinguisher in every classroom, at least the high school I went to.
That's right, dude.
I was talking to Glenn about this. We had it's like my junior or sophomore year, I'm a junior year, I don't know. We had an actual lockdown at my high school during finals, and everyone in my classroom, a number of my friends in other classrooms, we all basically stood by the door with fire extinguishers, desks, chairs, whatever big heavy objects we could find in the classroom, and we just waited. You know, one guy comes through that door and he's not wearing a cop uniform. He's probably going to get beaten to death with some of the people that, you know, were more than eager to do it because we had the numbers on our side. And then you had other kids, you know, they're cowering in the corner, trying to hide in the cabinets and stuff. But yeah, they're not you know, usually they're not trained. Usually they don't have that mindset. They're crazy. They're upset. Whatever.
And that mindset comes from the confidence that you get in understanding training and understanding what you are capable of doing.
Right.
You know, and I think that's a big failure a lot of people have where they have this mindset mentality of like, oh, if something happens, I'll handle it. But you won't. You can't just magically make shit up. That's like the hardest thing to get people to understand about self-defense, emergency response. You don't just magically gain these skills. You don't just grow them, you know, and like, oh, I see someone's attacking me. I'll just magically grow
I've watched a couple
fighting
movies.
skills. Exactly.
Right.
Oh, I see someone is hurt. I'll magically grow these skills. Like, that's not going to happen. You can have the coolest mindset in the world, like you said, and if, you know, you got to crike somebody, that's not it's not going to happen. If you don't know what we're talking about, we say, crike, you should come to training.
Right.
So that you'll understand
Teach you some really cool stuff.
What we're talking about, because these are the kind of things that could literally, do you have someone in your life who, you know, is allergic to bee stings, peanuts, anything like that? Anyone who's allergic to something that causes their throat to swell up and cause them to go into anaphylaxis, possible anaphylactic shock? You need to know what a crike is then.
I hope you have an EpiPen, and if you don't, you need to know what a
even
crike
with
is.
EpiPens, I mean, I've seen people get stuck a couple times with EpiPens and still end up getting a crike because the epinephrine just wasn't enough or wasn't quick enough or whatever. You know, if you yourself or someone around you is allergic to something that causes your throat to swell up, you better freaking know what a crike is. You better know what we're talking about here, and you better carry around the supplies to be able to do it, because if an epi doesn't work, they're going to die, and the only way to prevent that, and even then it's not 100%, but the only way to try to save their life is with something like a crike.
Right. And even when I was in the military, we read a lot of studies because I was at the School of Combat Medicine for the last portion of my time in the Army. I think only 1 in 3 crikes is actually done correctly, and that's in the military.
Mm-hmm.
You know, come to training.
You say that as if the military has this high level of training, Matt.
I think we both know the case there.
All right, so let's go back to the school thing real quick before we start down a dark road. So here's what I would recommend to teenagers. All right, here's my recommendation. So listen up, kids. Run, hide, fight. If you can get out, get out. If you're trying to take someone with you and they're not going, leave them. All right, this is not about being a hero in that kind of sense. People often confuse just what exactly hero, bravery, courage, things like that are. All right, so if you're trying to drag someone and they don't want to come, don't let them be your downfall. And then you're gonna hide. You know, if you can't run, you need to hide. You need to get someplace, turn your cell phone off, turn the lights off, calm your breathing, relax. You know, barricade yourself when you hide. Block doors. You know, we've shown statistically in all these school shootings that when shooters come up against barricaded rooms, they pass. Because, again, they're not interested in the test of skills. They're interested in causing lots and lots of damage and then popping themselves in the end or going down, you know, suicide by cop. So if that happens and you can't run and you can't hide, then you need to get ready to fight. All right? Pick up whatever you got. Like Matt said, there's 100,000 freaking improvised weapons in a school. Find something that can do some damage to another human being and get ready. Start getting yourself ready to lay down some waste on somebody. All right? A lot of hate and discontent needs to flow out of your body at this point. All right? So all that said and done, right? Shooter's popped himself. You've taken out the shooter. Someone else has. Suicide by cop has happened. They've lit the guy up. Whatever. Okay, now you've got a bloody mess on your hands. What are you going to start with? Again, you got to get trained to really understand the concepts we're about to talk about. But you have to start triaging people, and you can't always start with the people that you love, like boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, favorite teacher, whatever. You can't just start with them first because you can't get tunnel visioned into focusing on someone who's not a priority casualty.
Right.
So how do you triage someone? You start with life-threatening wounds first, or basic stuff that you can get taken care of quickly so that you've got someone who can help you. You know, so if you're going to triage, and I'll kind of let you take this, Matt. I kind of talked on the last one. So, you know, give some teenagers advice. What are some of the things that they're looking for specifically?
All right. Bright red blood. I'm sure you've cut yourself, hopefully not intentionally. And it's, you know, it's darker blood. Bright red blood is arterial. That's the life juice. If you see someone laying down with a lot of bright red blood coming from an arm or a leg, you need to get that stopped. Take a belt, throw it on as high and tight as possible on that limb, and then go tighter than that.
Close to the heart as possible.
Right, not over a joint. That's basic tourniquet stuff. There's a ton of ways to improvise that. Then the other major life threat you're going to be looking for that you can deal with the resources that you will have is gunshot wound to the thoracic cavity. What that does, long story short, you get shot in the chest. Your diaphragm's going to go down. It's going to pull air in your mouth, and now that new hole in your chest, the air is going to fill and surround the lung, and it's going to get to the point where the air is able to come in. It's not able to go out. There's two ways to treat this. The first one is the easiest one, and pretty much the only one you're going to be able to do in a school setting is occlusive dressing. You see someone with a gunshot wound to the chest, they're still breathing. If they're not, move on. If they're still breathing, cover that entry wound and the exit wound, any holes you see in the chest cavity with plastic, and tape it down. Go ape shit with the tape.
And by chest cavity, we're talking collarbone to belly button, really.
From here to here for those watching on the camera.
And that's 360 degrees. That could be
all the way around, armpits,
side, back.
Down, all sorts of places. The second way to fix that is with a chest needle decompression, which you will get suspended or probably expelled for if they catch you
own one.
Carrying a needle in a school. So don't worry about that. The only time you need that is when they've been sucking air in a hole that's not their mouth for a couple minutes. So that's basically the two things I would prioritize that you could easily fix.
Now, things you can use for occlusive dressing, literally plastic from anything. A freaking Snickers bar wrapper, a Ziploc bag, root around in a garbage
plastic.
can.
I mean,
if that's
the
what
trash, the plastic bag from the trash can. Is it going to be dirty? Yeah. Are you worried about sterility in a combat situation, which it is a combat situation, whether you want to believe that or not? No, you're not worried about sterility because, you know, if you need to pack a wound with some nasty Kleenex that you found in the garbage can, they're going to the hospital anyways. They're going to get fixed. But that's the two things you'd prioritize is bright red bleeding on extremities and thoracic trauma like gunshot wounds, stabs, whatever. Those are the two major things they teach in CLS, which is Combat Lifesaver. It's basically like the first aid that everybody gets in the military, because those are the two major causes of death that are preventable. Now, if someone gets shot in the neck, it might be fixed, might be fixable, not by somebody without a lot of training. Someone shot in the head, can they survive that? Yeah, maybe, but like I said, with a lot of training and experience and letters in front of your name.
Right.
But the two things you're going to be able to fix in that kind of situation or any situation is just a normal person. It's going to be extremity hemorrhaging and thoracic trauma.
And once you handle any life threats, once you've got those things taken care of, then you need to move on to calming people down, treating people for shock. Everybody's going to be experiencing shock. All casualties and patients always get treated for shock. So then you're going to start calming people down. You're going to get people taken care of. You're going to get people sitting up or rolling over on their side. You're going to get people in recovery positions. You're going to get people, you know, covered up if they've had extreme blood loss. You know, get that blood temperature back up. You know, you're going to start
moving the severely injured people out of there too. You know, you might have some, not knocking the football players, but you might have some big football player who doesn't know any of these concepts, doesn't know how to do it, doesn't want to do it.
But he's super good at hauling people around.
the people that can move these patients, once you fix them, once you at least get them not bleeding and no more errors coming in their chest cavity, start moving them out of there. If you want to stay in the room and stay at the cafeteria, stay wherever this happened at, go ahead and stick around and keep treating. If they've already dealt with the guy and they're still, you know, bringing everybody in. There's a lot of classrooms in my high school. There was like 4,000 people when I went to my high school. Get those people moved out into the hallway, or just at least towards the cops where they can say, yeah, they're out that way. Get these people out, because that's going to decrease the time that's going to take the medics to get to them. And they might not get to them if you're in a back, down at the end of the hallway, the back classroom in the corner, deepest in the school. You're going to prioritize, getting them out of there and getting them further treated by getting them out.
Well, that's an important thing though too, is that you have to take command. But in order for you to be able to take command of the situation, you've got to have confidence in your ability to do something effective. People want to be told what to do. That's what I've discovered. As a civilian responder, I have discovered people love to be told what to do. When I say you do this and you do that, they just go do it. They love to help. They want to be involved. They want to be told what to do. Start telling people what to do. In order for you to have the confidence that you're doing the right thing, you have to have some real training. And look, here's the thing. Our training is not just for some high-speed, low-drag individuals. Our training is geared specifically towards civilian, regular people, kids.
With zero training
parents,
background.
Everybody with no training background. So if you haven't looked us up, look us up, independencetraining.com. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're all over the place. And, of course, we're the host of the Arms Room, so there's really no reason for you to not know who we are if you're listening to the Arms Room. I want to wrap up the show. I wish we had more time to talk about this. Next week, we're going to be talking about medical kits. What are some things you should carry in your medical kit? So next week, we're going to be talking about small, tiny medical kits to big medical kits, different things you should put in them, and the uses for them. So we're kind of continuing this show next week, talking a little bit more about the kind of wounds you're likely to see, how to handle them, what you should carry around. So make sure you tune in next week as well. Now I want to end it with a quick post from our Facebook page from our very good friend Jason, who often posts on our Facebook page, and I appreciate it, Jason. Thanks for being willing to jump in yesterday or this whole weekend. He was at ECQC and kicking some ass with a torn ACL, I might add, and a whole bunch of other damage. Guy's an animal. You're an animal, Jason. I love you, brother. Here's his comment. I think way too many people are intimidated by you don't know what you don't know, especially when it is trauma-based. Your core concepts are the same if your kid falls down the stair or a stranger's truck barrel rolls down the highway, or you're in a school shooting, or you fall down while you're backpacking and impale yourself, or you actually get shot by a hunter because he thinks you're a deer, or any number of freaking crazy things that happen. And so the idea really is the training that you get is applicable to everything you do in your life. Are you going to be an asset, or are you going to be a liability? Final thoughts, Matt?
I think you got them all. Train. Right. You've never trained enough. The big thing at the gun show is, hey, you want some training? Like, no. You want to sign up for some free training? Oh, no, I got training. Yeah, 30 years ago. Things have changed. Check us out. You'll learn something new. I promise. I promise you'll learn some cool stuff.
Absolutely. And if you come train with us, you're going to get the opportunity to get taught by Matt. And Matt is a squared away individual, so you really want to come train with us. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, train hard. You've been listening to The Arms Room. What's so proudly we